Hello viewers and my dear students. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Zahida Begum, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science, Government Degree College, Hayatnagar. What actually makes a country democratic? You must have heard that democracy is the rule of the people, for the people and by the people. To ensure this very rule by the people, elections are held. Hence, elections are the process by which people select their representatives in the government. A democratic government means the rule of the people, by the people. Since in a big country with a huge population of billions, it is not possible for everybody to gather and rule each other. Hence, a system eventually came to be formed where a group of people would select one person to represent their interests. Through this person, people's interest would rule. It is called electoral system. So, today's topic is Election Commission of India. Now I am going to discuss about the Election Commission, and in the next slides we will talk about the challenges in the regard and some of the previous attempts at electoral reform. So, what is the introduction of Election Commission? India is a sovereign, socialist, secular democratic republic. Democracy runs like a golden thread in the social, economic, and political fabric woven by the constitution given by we the people of India unto ourselves. The concept of democracy as visualized by the constitution presupposes the representation of the people in parliament and state legislatures by the method of election. The Supreme Court has held that democracy is one of the inalienable basic feature of the Constitution of India and forms part of its basic structure. The Constitution of India adopted a parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary consists of the President of India and the two houses Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. India, being a union of states, has separate state legislature for each state. State legislature consists of the governor and two houses, legislative council and legislative assembly in 7 states, namely Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, and of the governor of the state legislative assembly in the remaining 22 states. Apart from the above, 2 out of the 7 union territories, namely National Capital Territory of India of Delhi and Puducherry, also have their legislative assemblies. Election Commission is a federal body enacted under the provisions of the Constitution, responsible for monitoring and administering all the electoral process of India. This body is responsible for ensuring elections are free and fair without any bias. Election Commission ensures the conduct of members pre-elections, during elections and post-elections are the statutory legislation. All election related disputes are handled by the Election Commission only. The Supreme Court of India has held that where the enacted laws are silent or make insufficient provision to deal with a given situation in the conduct of elections, the Election Commission has the residuary powers under the Constitution to act in appropriate manner. So, the Election Commission of India is an autonomous and constitutionally established federal authority responsible for administering all the electoral process in the Republic of India. Under the supervision of the Commission, free and fair elections have been held in India at regular intervals as per the principles enshrined in the Constitution. The Election Commission has the power of superintendence, direction and control of all elections to the Parliament of the India and the state legislatures of elections to the office of the President of India and the Vice President of India. The commission consists of a Chief Election Commission, CEC and 2 election commissions appointed by the President of India. We will discuss next slides to this Election Commission composition. Okay. Now, just move on our next slide, that is historical background of Election Commission. Since ancient times, Kudavolai system of imperial cholas, they were a basic grassroots democratic bodies. British times also, but no provision for independent election commission. So, the Election Commission of India is an independent constitutional authority since 25th January 1950. India is the largest democracy in the world. Elections are the most integral and important part of politics in a democratic system of governance. True, true democracy can function only when elections to the offices of power are held in a free and fair manner. It is generally accepted that while the first three general elections were held in a free and fair manner, a plummeting of standards started during the fourth general elections in 1967. Many consider the electoral systems in the country as the basis of political corruption. So, just move on our next slide, that is need and importance of elections or importance of elections. So, first of all, we need and people get change to form government, make laws and work for welfare of people and their country. And next important point is best way to choose representatives and gives choice to select and comes to know about political parties and their ideologies, and periodic elections builds pressure to perform or perish, and indirect participation of voters. So, just focus on our next slide, that is what is the meaning of election and constituency. First of all, we'll go the meaning of election. Election is a procedure where persons are chosen by voting to represent to voters for running the government, or it is an organized process in which people vote to choose the persons who can represent them in parliament or the state legislative. Next, we will go on meaning of the constituency. Constituency is a fixed area with a body of voters. Country or state is divided into number of representative areas called as constituencies. So, what is the constituencies and reservations of seats? The country has been divided into 543 parliamentary constituencies, each of which return one MP to the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the parliament. The Federal Democratic Republic of India has 36 constituent units. All the 29 states and two of the seven union territories have their own assemblies, Vidhan Sabhas. The 31 assemblies have 4120 constituencies. So, move on our next slide, that is who can vote or right to vote. The democratic system in India is based on the principle of universal adult suffrage, that any citizen over the age of 18 can vote in an election. Before 1989, the age limit was 21. The right to vote is irrespective of caste, creed, religion, or gender. Those who are deemed unsound of mind and people convicted of certain criminal offences are not allowed to vote. There has been a general increase in the number of the people voting in Indian elections. In 1996, if you look on statistics, in 1996, 57.4% of the electoral voted. This increased to 66% in the general elections held in 2014. Women voted in good numbers and almost in equal proportion as men. So, move on our next slide, that is composition and appointment. So, what is the composition? Permanent independent body, centralized to insulate from local influences. The Constitution provides for Chief Election Commissioner and one or more election commissioners to be appointed. The commission consisted of Chief Election Commissioner till 1989, when for the first time two election commissioners were appointed. Currently, the commission has a chief election commissioner, he is Sunil Arora, and the election commissioners enjoys the status of a judge of the Supreme Court of India. The Chief Election Commissioner can be removed from office only by parliamentary impeachment. The Election Commission is responsible for the conduct of elections to Parliament and state legislatures and to the offices of the President and Vice President. The Election Commission prepares, maintains, and periodically updates the electoral rolls, which show who is entitled to vote, supervises the nomination of candidates, and including the funding and exponential by candidates. It also facilitates the coverage of the election process by the media, organizes the polling booths where voting takes place, and looks after the counting of votes and the declaration of the results. All this is done to ensure that elections can take place in an orderly and fair manner. The Commission decides most matters by consensus, but in case of any dissension, the majority view prevails. The Commission has its headquarters in New Delhi with a secretariat of some 350 staff members. At the state level, a chief electoral officer with a core staff of weighing members is available on a full time basis. At the district and constituency level, officers and staff of the civil administration double up as election officials. During actual conduct of elections, a vast number of additional staff are temporarily drafted for about 2 weeks. They function mainly as polling and counting officials. And the appointment process is the Chief Election Commissioner, present Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora, and other election commissioners are appointed by President. President may also appoint regional commissioners to assist the election commission. So, what is the term and tenure of office and conditions of service? The conditions of service. The Chief Election Commission and the election commissioners placed at part in matters of salary and allowances, and it is the same as that of a judge of Supreme Court. Tenure of Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners is fixed as 6 years, subject to the maximum age limit of 65 years. The Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners all have equal powers to matters of decision making. In case of difference, decisions are taken by opinion of majority. The Commission takes all the elections by consensus. The Chief Election Commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in the like manner and on the like grounds as a judge of the Supreme Court. Service conditions cannot be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. The election commissioners cannot be removed except on the Chief Election Commissioner's recommendation. So, if we focus on removal, that is the independence of Election Commission of India, Chief Election Commission and other election commissioners can be removed in the manner as a judge of Supreme Court. Other election commissioners can be removed only on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. No one can change the condition of service of Chief Election Commissioner. Election Commission of India has complete control over its staff on election duty. That's why we call that Independence Election Commission or Independence of Election Commission of India. So, the most important topic and the very important and focused topic is powers and functions of Election Commission. So, what is the powers and functions? That is the guardian of free and fair elections. One of the most important features of the democratic polity is elections at regular intervals. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Holding periodic free and fair elections are essentials of democratic system. It is part of basic structure of the constitution which has been held in T.N. Seshan versus Union of India. The Commission has taken many efforts for the success of elections and thereby democracy. So, what is the main point of this uh, powers and functions is model code of conduct. The election commission is regarded as a guardian of free and fair elections. In every elections, it issues a model code of conduct for political parties and candidates to conduct elections in a free and fair manner. The commission issued the code for the first time in 1971, that is fifth elections, and revised it from time to time. It laid down guidelines for conduct of political parties and candidates during elections. However, there are instances of violation of code by the political parties, and the complaints are received for misuse of official machinery by the candidates. In ID Systems India Private Limited versus Chief Election Commissioner, the Kerala High Court held that the object of Model Code of Conduct is not to stop all governmental activities but only those actions which may directly influence a section of electorals need to be prevented. The need for such code is in the interest of free and fair elections. However, the code does not have any specific statutory basis, it has only a persuasive effect. It contains what known as rules of electoral morality, but this lack of statutory backing does not prevent the commission from enforcing it. So, registration of political parties. A law regarding to this registration process was enacted in 1989 and number of parties got registered with commission. It helps to avoid confusion and headache of the administrative machinery as well as confusion of the electorate. It ensures that political parties can practice democracy only by their registration. Limits on poll expenses to get rid of the growing influences and vulgar show of money during elections. The Election Commission had made many suggestions in this regard. The Election Commission has fixed the legal limits on the amount of money which a candidate can spend during election campaigns. These limits have been revised from time to time. The Election Commission, by appointing observers, keeps an eye on the individual account of election expenditure. The contestants are also required to give details of expenditure with 30 days of declaration of results. However, political parties do not adhere to the financial Lakshman Rekha as huge amounts are spent by parties under the grab of their supporters. The campaign period was reduced by the Election Commission from 21 to 14 days for Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. It is for to trim down election expenditure. The Election Commission's this attempt to impose these measures have been a move in the right direction. Moreover, Election Commission takes details of the candidate's asset on affidavit at the time of submitting nomination paper. So, next, prohibition on publication. The commission can issue an order for prohibition of publication and dismantling of results of opinion polls, that is exit polls. And quasi judicial powers also under the constitution, the commission also has advisory jurisdiction in the matter of post election disqualification of sitting members of parliament found guilty of corrupt practices at elections which before the Supreme Court and High Courts. The courts refers to the commission for its opinion on the question as to whether such a person shall be disqualified, and if so, for what period. The opinion of the commission in all such matters is binding on the president or, as the case may be, the governor to whom such opinion is tendered. The commission has the power to disqualify a candidate who has failed to lodge an account of his election expenses within the time and in the manner prescribed by law. The commission has also the power for removing or reducing the period of such disqualification as also other disqualification under the law. So, Functions, main important booth level functions are: the booth level officer, that is BLO, is local government and semi government official, familiar with the local electors and generally a voter in the same polling area, who assists in updating the roll using his local knowledge. BLO is a representative of Election Commission of India at the grassroots level, who plays a pivotal role in the process of roll revision and collecting actual fields information with regard to the roll corresponding to the polling area assigned to him. Under Section 13B(2) of Representation of People Act 1950, BLOs are appointed from amongst the officers of government, semi government, or local bodies. Generally, one BLO is responsible for one part of the electoral roll. From August 2006, the Commission has decided to introduce the concept of appointing BLOs who would be accountable for ensuring the fidelity of electoral roll. So, the allotment of symbols to parties and independent candidates. National and state parties can have same registered symbols for all their candidates, and independent candidates can choose any symbols out of the list of free symbols. Illiterate masses can't read the names, however, they can easily identify the symbols. Reserved symbols sometimes become so well known that the party doesn't have to do much to showcase their candidate. So, the election procedure we will discuss our next slides. So, next, what is the election machinery in states? Chief Electoral Officers 35, District Election Officers 601, Returning Officers Parliament 543, and Returning Officers Assembly 4120, and Assistant Returning Officers in Parliament 4600, and Assistant Returning Officers in Assembly 10,000 members, and Electoral registration officers 4120. Assistant electoral registration officers are 4800 in states. So what is types of elections? If you focus on, there are different types of elections, that is general elections. To elect Lok Sabha members after term of 5 years. Mid-term elections. In case of Lok Sabha or state legislative assemblies get dissolved before the 5 years time. By-elections, when any member of legislative assembly in center or state falls vacant on account of death, resignation, or disqualification before end of the term. If you focus in detail, elections in the Republic of India include elections for members of the parliament in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, members of state legislative assemblies, and also assembly elections to some of the union territories like Delhi, and members of state legislative councils, and members in village panchayats or city corporation councils. So just focus on our next slide, that is system of elections. Elections to the Lok Sabha and each Vidhana Sabha are carried out using a first past the post electoral system. I repeat, a first past the post electoral system. For each constituency, the electorals can cast their vote for a single candidate of their choice, the winner being the candidate who gets the most votes. If you focus on parliament, the parliament of union consists of the president, the Lok Sabha, that is House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha, that is the Council of the States. Rajya Sabha, the members of Rajya Sabha are elected indirectly rather than by the citizens at large. Rajya Sabha members are elected by each state Vidhana Sabha using the single transferable vote system. Unlike most federal systems, the number of members returned by each state is roughly in proportion to their population. At present, there are 233 members of Rajya Sabha elected by the Vidhan Sabha, and there are also 12 members nominated by the President from amongst eminent personalities in the fields of literature, science, art, and social services. Rajya Sabha members can serve for 6 years, and elections are staggered with one third of the council being elected every 2 years. And if we focus on Lok Sabha, that is the House of the People, the President of India is the head of the state, appoints the Prime Minister to head the Council of Ministers, which runs the government. According to the political composition of the Lok Sabha, although the government is headed by a Prime Minister, the Cabinet is the central decision making body of the government. Members of more than one party can make up a government, and although the governing parties may be a minority in Lok Sabha, they can only govern as long as they have the confidence of majority of MPs, the members of the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is the main legislative body along with the Rajya Sabha. The members of Lok Sabha elected directly by the adult citizens of India from single member territorial parliamentary constituencies under the first past the post system. At present, there are 543 direct elected members of Lok Sabha apart from two members nominated by the President to represent Anglo Indian community. If we focus on state legislatures, India is a federal country and the constitution gives the states and union territories significant control over their government. The Vidhan Sabhas, that is legislative assemblies, are directly elected bodies set up to carry out the administration of the government in the 29 states of India. In some states, there is a bicameral organization of legislatures with both an upper and lower houses. Two of the seven union territories, that is the National Capital Territory of Delhi and Puducherry, have also legislative assemblies. The assemblies range in size according to population. The largest Vidhan Sabha is for Uttar Pradesh with 403 members. If we take the whole data on 2014 elections series only, the smallest for Puducherry with 30 members. Elections to the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of parliament, Vidhan Parishads, upper houses of the state legislatures existing only a few states, and offices of the president and vice president are, however, conducted on the basis of proportional representation through a single transferable vote system. And next, if we focus president and vice president elections, the president is elected by the elected members of the Vidhan Sabhas, Lok Sabhas, and Rajya Sabha and serves for a period of 5 years. A formula linked to the population of state determines the value of vote for each elected member of parliament, both of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and is determined by a formula linked to the total value of votes of all the members of all the legislative assemblies. If no candidate receives a majority of votes, there is a system by which losing candidates are eliminated from the contest and votes for the transferred to the other candidates until one gains a majority. I already discussed this topic in earlier, that is the president. Okay, and we will move on. The vice president is elected by a direct vote of all members elected and nominated of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. A successful candidate for the office of the president or the vice president is eligible for re-election. So, if you focus, what is the process of elections in India? Number one, making of constituencies. Constituencies are areas marked for people to elect their representatives from. In India, each constituency has roughly a similar size of the population, meaning the number of varies from state to state, and this also implies that the number of the seats, example in Lok Sabha, is in proportion to the population of the state. Next one, preparation of electoral rolls. The constituencies have people who vote for their representatives or can even stand for elections themselves. Electoral rolls are the lists of voters in one constituency. In India, there is a universal franchise by law, meaning that every individual above the age of 18 has the right to vote and choose his representative. And so all their names should appear in their respective electoral rolls. Next is registration of political parties. India allows every eligible person to stand for elections as long as they have a ticket. A political party registers for elections and individuals file their nomination papers too. Then a person each gets a ticket from the party they are representing and he can formally contest the elections. Every party has a symbol that represents them. Example, BJP lotus flower and Congress hand, like that. And next one, political campaigning. Each party contesting elections has a particular ideology and set of policies. They need to hold political campaigns for around 2 weeks in order to publicize them and gather voters. Ideally, they need to do this ethically by convincing voters with good policies and plans. In India, they are given a particular limit of expenditure beyond which they can't spend more money. And next, voting day preparations. This day is finally when voters vote for their choice of representative in election booths. Earlier, people used to vote by ballot paper, but nowadays they use EVM, that is electronic voting machine. We will discuss in next slide, by simply pressing a button on their party symbol. The votes are then later counted and the candidate with the majority of the votes wins the election. So, just focus on our next slide, that is when do elections take place? It means the electoral event. The term of parliament and assembly is 5 years, except Jammu Kashmir assembly where is it 6 years. House can be dissolved before its term ends. Dates decided by the commission. No consultation done with any government. Commission can call for elections 6 months prior to the date on which normal tenure of assembly or parliament expires. 14th general elections since 1952, by-elections when a seat falls vacant, normally held within 6 months of vacancy. No by-elections if vacancy for less than 1 year. Elections for the Lok Sabha and every state legislative assembly have to take place every 5 years unless called earlier. The president can dissolve Lok Sabha and call a general elections before 5 years are up. If the government can no longer command the confidence of the Lok Sabha and if there is no alternative government available to take over. General elections of the Lok Sabha took place in 1952, 57, 62, 67 and 1971, 77, 84, 89, 91, 96, 97, 98, 1999 and 2004, 2009 and 2014. Holding of regular elections can only be deferred by means of a constitutional amendment and in consultation with the election commission, and it is recognized that interruptions of regular elections are acceptable only in extraordinary circumstances. When the 5 year limit is up or the legislature has been dissolved and new elections has been called, the election commission put into effect the process of holding an election. Just move on next slide, that is scheduling of elections. The election process starts with the issue of notification for the parliamentary constituencies and assembly constituencies. As per legal provisions, a period of 7 days is provided for the filing of nomination after the notification is issued. The scrutiny of the nomination is carried out on the day following the last date for nominations. Thereafter, 2 days are provided for the withdrawal of nominations and the final list of candidates is prepared after the withdrawal. The campaign period is usually of 14 days or more and the campaign comes to an end 48 hours before the close of the polls in the respective constituencies. So, Next slide, that is deployment of polling personnel. Another important aspect is this deployment of polling personnel or poll personnel. This is done through a three-stage randomization process, which is first stage. At this stage, the purpose is to identify and select the required number of polling personnel for the district. In the appointment letter, the identity of the assembly constituency, that is AC, is not to be disclosed. Polling personnel will know whether he or she is a presiding officer or polling officer, the venue and the time of training. The presence of observers is not required at this stage. And second stage, polling parties are formed at this stage. The AC may be known, AC means assembly constituency, may be known, but the actual polling station, that is PS, is not known. Observers must be present. This randomization is not be done before 6 or 7 days from the day of the poll. And third stage, at the time of the dispersal of the polling party, the allocation of the PS is done. The presence of observers is a must, and the certificate regarding the formation of polling parties on the basis of the three-stage randomization process needs to be given by the DAO to the Election Commission of India and separately to the CEO. In the 2014 general elections, the arrangements at the polling stations were reviewed and instructions were issued to have a minimum guaranteed environment at the polling stations, comprising certain basic minimum facilities such as drinking water, shade, shelter, light, ramps, and so on. The voting compartment was standardized for all states and union territories by issuing instructions to set them up in such a way that the secrecy of the ballot was not compromised, and prohibited materials such as jute bags and plastic sheets were not used. Just move on our next slide, that is who can contest or who can stand for election. Any Indian citizen who is registered as a voter is otherwise not disqualified under the law and is over 25 years of age is allowed to contest elections to the Lok Sabha or state legislative assemblies. For the Rajya Sabha, the age limit is 30 years. Candidates for Vidhan Sabha should be residents of the same state from which they wish to contest. Every candidate has to make deposit of 25,000 for Lok Sabha election and 10,000 for Rajya Sabha or Vidhan Sabha elections, except the candidates from the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes who pay half of these amounts. The deposit is returned if the candidate receives more than one-sixth of the total number of valid votes polled in the constituency. Nominations must be supported at least by one registered electoral of the constituency. In case of a candidate sponsored by a recognized party and by 10 registered electorals from the constituency, in case of other candidates, returning officers appointed by the election commission are put in charge to receive nominations of candidates in each constituency and oversees the formalities of the election. In a number of seats in the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, the candidates can only from either one of the scheduled castes or scheduled tribes. The number of these reserved seats is meant to be approximately in proportion to the number of people from scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in each state. There are currently 84 seats reserved for the scheduled castes and 47 reserved for the scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha. Just focus on the campaign or nomination. The campaign is the period when the political parties and candidates put forward their arguments with which they hope to persuade people to vote for them. Candidates are given a week to put forward their nominations. These are scrutinized by the returning officers and, if not found to be in order, can be rejected after a summary hearing. Validly nominated candidates can withdraw within 2 days after nominations have been scrutinized. The official campaign lasts for about 2 weeks from the drawing up to the list of nominated candidates and officially ends in 48 hours before polling closes. Once an election has been called, parties issue manifestos detailing the programs they wish to implement if elected to government, the strength of their leaders, and the failures of opposing parties and their leaders. Slogans are used to popularize and identify parties and issues, and pamphlets and posters distributed to the electorates. Rallies and meetings where the candidates try to persuade and denigrate opponents, enthusiast supporters are held throughout the constituencies. Personal appeals and promises of reform are made, with candidates traveling the length of the breadth of the constituency to try to influence as many potential supporters as possible. Party symbols abound printed or posters and placards. And move on our next slide, that is model code of conduct. During the election campaign, the political parties and contesting candidates are expected to abide by a model code of conduct evolved by the election commission on the basis of a consensus among political parties. The model code lays down broad guidelines as to how the political parties and candidates should conduct themselves during the election campaign. It is intended to maintain the election campaign on the healthy lines, avoid clashes and conflicts between the political parties or their supporters, and to ensure peace and order during the campaign period and thereafter until the results are declared. The model code also prescribes guidelines for the ruling party, either at the center or in the state, to ensure that a level field is maintained and that no cause is given for any complaint that the ruling party has used to official position for the purpose of its election campaign. So, what is the limit on poll expenses? I already discussed, but once again we have the look. And what is the ballot papers and symbols? There are tight legal limits on the amount of money a candidate can spend during the election campaign. In most Lok Sabha constituencies, the limit is recently amended is 70 lakhs. Although some smaller states the limit is 28 lakhs for Vidhan Sabha elections. Although supporters of a candidate can spend as much as they like to help out with a campaign, they have to get a written permission of the candidate. Similarly, while parties are allowed to spend as much money on campaigns as they want, recent Supreme Court judgments have said that unless a political party can specifically account for money spent during the campaign, it will consider any activities as being funded by the candidates and counting towards their election expenses. The accountability imposed on the candidates and parties have curtailed some of the more extravagant campaigning that was previously a part of Indian elections. So the ballot papers and symbols after nomination of candidates is complete. A list of competent candidates is prepared by the returning officer, and ballot papers are printed with the names of the candidates in languages set by the election commission, along with their photographs and the symbols allotted to each of the candidates. Candidates of recognized parties are allotted their party symbols. Some electorals, including members of the armed force of Government of India officials serving outside the country, are allowed to vote by post. And time and mode of election campaign is, I already discussed that campaign period of about 13 days or more ends 48 hours before polling closes. Parties issues manifestos, slogans, door to door campaigning, etc., posters, meetings, and procession, etc. So, women participation and women seats in elections. No specific law for reservation of seats as yet. Political parties expected to put up women candidates in reasonable number of facilities on the polling stations. Separate queue for women voters. At least one lady officer posted in every polling station. Lady officer can alone can see and verify Pardanashin ladies, that is ladies wearing in veils in Muslim community. And Just move on our next slide, that is National Voters Day, catalyst for inclusion. National Voters Day is celebrated all over India to mark the setup of Election Commission of India on 25th January 1950, a day before Indian Constitution came into force. On this day, newly eligible registered voters are handed over their epics and a badge within the slogan "Proud to be a voter, ready to vote." All electorals are public present during the NVD celebrations are National Voters Day celebrations are administered. National Voters Day pledge across the country on all polling locations. Outreach measures like symposia and cycle rallies, human chain, folk art programs, mini marathon races and competitions, and awareness seminars for climate building and awareness generation. Next, very important and focus on this slide, that is EVM. EVM nothing but electronic voting machine. Electronic voting machines have been developed to facilitate easy polling and counting. To the use of machine is to save cost of paper and printing, etc., and also to get the result within 3 to 4 hours, thus saving a lot of manual exercise even involved in conventional counting. The machines have been developed by Electronics Corporation of India Limited, that is ECIL, and Bharat Electronics Corporation of India Limited, that is BEL. These machines provide full safeguard for ensuring secrecy of ballot and against tampering of machines, apart from ensuring rapidity of poll and instantaneous results. The Parliament has amended the Representation of People Act 1951 in March 1989, introducing Section 16(1)(a) in the said Act, which provided for the recording of votes of voting machines in such manner as may be prescribed may be adopted in such constituency or constituencies as the Election Commission may specify. In pursuance of the above provisions, the central government amended the conduct of election rules 1961 by inserting a new chapter 2, rule 49 to 49x, 49a to 49x, for facilitating the use of electronic voting machines, that is EVMs. The Commission has already made arrangements to ensure availability of adequate number of EVMs for the smooth conduct of elections. The Commission has issued a new set of instructions with regard to the first level check of EVMs that will be used in the poll in the states. The first level check of EVMs is done in the presence of representatives of political parties. A two-stage randomization of EVMs are done. In the first stage, all the EVMs sorted in the district storage center will be randomized by the district election officer in the presence of the representatives of the recognized political parties for allocation assembly constituency wise. EVMs will be prepared and set for elections after finalization of the contesting candidates. At this stage, also candidates or their agents or representatives will be allowed to check and satisfy themselves in every manner about the functionality of the EVMs. After the EVMs in a constituency are prepared for the poll by the returning officer and the ballot units are fitted with the ballot papers, then the EVMs will again be randomized to decide the actual polling stations in which they will be ultimately used. The second stage randomization will be done in the presence of observers, candidates, or their election agents. And just move on our next slide, that is VVPAT, that is Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. From 2013, a new system has been added in the EVM called Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail, that is VVPAT. A printer is attached with the EVM and kept into voting compartment, which prints serial number, name and symbol of the candidate for whom a voter has voted. This printed slip remains exposed for 7 seconds under a transparent window and gets cut automatically and falls into a drop box which remains sealed. And another important point is nota, that is none of the above. option in EVMs. In its judgment dated 27th September 2013, in writ petition number 161 of 2004, the Supreme Court has directed that there should be a none of the above, that is nota option on the ballot papers and EVMs. The court has directed that the commission should be implemented either in a phased manner or at a time which the assistance of government of India. On the balloting unit below the name of the last candidate, there will now be a button for a nota option, so that electors who do not want to vote for any of the candidates can exercise their option by pressing the button against nota. The commission takes all steps to bring this to the knowledge of voters and all other stakeholders, and to train all field level officials, including the polling personnel, about the nota option. Similarly, nota provision is also there for the postal ballots. So, if we focus on information technology initiative for better elections, that is ERMS, that is Electoral Roll Management System. The ERMS will cover the entire process of electoral roll preparation for the state, from electoral roll revision, data management to final electoral roll publishing. Silent features of ERMS is it's a cluster of video web-based application developed based web series. It covers the entire process of electoral roll preparation in the states, from the electoral roll revision, data management process, electorals registration, correction and data modification, to final publication of electoral roll and preparation of electorals photo identity card, that is EPIC. So some tools have been integrated for providing citizen services, that is search facility and voter slip and tracking status of your application, format 1 to 8 reporting module, database error finding module, rationalization of polling station, etc. So the next one is MAT data, that is voter. MAT data app was used for voters facilitation. Any citizen can search details of enrollment in electoral roll through EPIC number or through name by downloading the app on his mobile. He or she can also locate his or her polling station on Google Map. Further, all nearby polling stations near the location of the citizen can be seen on the GPS enabled mobile. And next, MATDAN, that is polling. MATDAN app was used for poll date monitoring, like poll events, reaching of the polling parties reached, PS image, votes cast, voters images, etc. This application has been features of using it of offline in case of non-connectivities of network. All data captured offline is synchronized with the centralized server as soon as the person using the app comes in the coverage area. Through this app, we can find out voter turnout, VTR, gender wise, age wise, section wise. Improvement of quality of image in the roll can also be done through this app, as we get the recent color photograph of the voter against old bad quality photograph in the roll. Next, Samadhan, that is redressal. This application provided the people or political party to lodge their complaints on the common platform for all complaints received from all sources. Mobile app was available for the people so that they could submit complaints with photographs, videos on the common platform. SMS is sent to complaint on receipt or disposal of complaint. Complaint can track status and view ATR online through the Android app. And next one, that is Suvidha, it means convenience. As part of election campaign, the political parties and candidates are required to obtain permissions for meetings, rallies, vehicles, loudspeakers, and temporary party offices, and helipad and helicopter landing, etc. The previous system of granting permission was based on traditional manual processing, which involved obtaining consent from various authorities. This was time consuming and non transparent. In the earlier single window system, there was no system of proper monitoring, which lead to complaints of delays and bias in grant of permission. This at time lead to allegations against the election related officers. The Suvidha software provided for standard form of applying for different permissions. It also provided a checklist showing the mandatory and optional documents required for different permissions. And this made the task of person applying and accepting the application simple and transferable. And one more option is also, that is SMS poll monitoring. That is, SMS was sent to the applicant giving the application number, date and time of receipt. And other one is Sugam, that is easy. This application was used for management of vehicles in the election, right from the requisition of vehicles to its payment release. The app was used for insurance of requisition letters for vehicles, capturing of vehicles details and with addresses and mobile numbers and bank details of owner and driver, generation of logbook, online entry of payment, transfer of vehicles from one district to another district, and generation of payment, calculation chart and release order, like that, etc. And one more important app is the Elecon application was used for creating database of police or polling personnel, generation of command or appointment letters, sending SMS regarding deputation or training, tagging of patrolling party with force, generation of application for postal ballot, formation of polling party or polling party after randomization, for sending polling personnel or police force from one district to another district, etc. in this Sugam, in this Elecon. Next, SMS poll monitoring. Already I discussed that for collection of various type of information through SMS from presiding officer or sectorial officer, the app was used for tracking or collecting information regarding various poll events prior to the day of poll to the end of the poll. It is an event based management system from the time of dispatchment till the time of disposition of election material after returning of the parties. Polling parties are distributed in remote locations, so the challenge is to get the information timely. Events predominated nature, example political party dispatched, arrived, etc. Of a non-predominant nature, that is incidents of violence, information regarding all type of such events were received into the system from SMS and polling station. Next, e-counting. Use of online e-counting software for uploading table-wise, candidate-wise votes polled from the counting hall was done. From Android app in the mobile phone, one can view the trend of counting result. And next one, that is ETS, that is EVM tracking software, is used for tracking the availability movement of EVM. And one more most important is use of webcasting at polling stations. The advent of information technology has touched all walks of life and played a determining role in all major ventures. It has come to have an important say in bringing transparency and efficiency in the conduct of elections too. In this context, the concept of webcasting has been introduced, the poll day monitoring. Webcasting is a process where the entire poll day proceedings are captured as a video file and streamed live for viewing at selected locations. Just move on our another slide, that is international cooperation. Over the last decade, the Election Commission of India has been making incremental efforts to promote inter-institutional contacts and to provide technical support and use-friendly resources and advice to election authorities elsewhere on request. In the process, Election Commission of India has also acquired valuable learning from the counterparts of the in the other countries. This international cooperation outreach has been made in conjunction with India's foreign policy objectives to promote democracy and strengthen election administration worldwide. The Election Commission of India is presently founding member and chair of Association of Asian Election Authorities 2015-16, and also founding member and chair of Forum of Election Management Bodies of South Asia, member of Executive Board of Association of the World Election Bodies, member of Steering Committee of Commonwealth Electoral Networks, and member of Community of Democracies Working Group on Elections. Next one, that is complaint redressal mechanism, call center and website based. State shall have a complaint redressal mechanism based on website and call center. The number of call center is 1950, which is toll free number. The URL of the complaint registration website are announced for the state by the chief electoral officer separately. Complaints can be registered by making calls to the toll free call center numbers or on the website. Action will be taken with time limit on all complaints. Complaints will also inform on the action taken by SMS and by the call center. Next one, the most important of this election commission is electoral reforms. Electoral reforms undertaken by authorities can be broadly divided into two categories, that is pre 2000 and post 2000. Both of these are discussed in the section below, that is electoral reforms pre 2000. Number one point of this electoral reforms pre 2000 is that 61st Amendment Act to the Constitution reduced the minimum age for voting from 21 to 18 years. And deputation to election commission, all personnel working in preparing, revising and correcting the electoral rolls for elections shall be considered to be on deputation to the election commission for the period of such employment, and they shall be superintended by the election commission. And number 3 reform is increasing in the number of proposers and the security deposit. The number of electors required to sign as proposers in the nomination papers for elections to the Rajya Sabha and the State Legislative Council has been raised to 10% of the electorals of the constituency or 10 such electors, whichever is less, chiefly to prevent frivolous candidates. The security deposit has also been hiked to prevent non-serious candidates. And next another reform is electronic voting machine, that is EVMs, first introduced in 1998 during the state elections of Delhi, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. EVMs are used widely now as they are foolproof, efficient and a better option in terms of the environment. And fifth reform is disqualification on conviction for violating the National Honors Act 1971. This shall lead to disqualification of the person for 6 years from contesting to the parliament and the state legislatures. And sixth one, restriction on contesting from more than two constituencies. A candidate cannot contest from more than two constituencies. And number 7th reform is death of a contesting candidate. Previously, the election was countermanded on the death of a contesting candidate. In the future, no election will be countermanded on the death of a contesting candidate. If the deceased candidate, however, was set up by a recognized national or state party, then the party concerned will be given an option to nominate another candidate within 7 days of the issue of a notice to that effect to the party concerned by the election commission. And eighth reform is it is prohibited by law to go to or near a polling booth bearing arms. This is punishable by imprisonment for up to 2 years, and on poll days employees of organization get a paid holiday, and violation of this is punishable by a fine. Prohibition on sale of liquor also in a reform, that is no liquor or other intoxicant shall be sold or given or distributed at any shop, eating place or any other place, whether private or public, within a polling area during the polling period of 48 hours ending with the hour fixed for the conclusion of poll. Time limit for by-elections is the another reform. By-elections to any house of parliament or a state legislature will now be held within 6 months of the occurrence of the vacancy in that house. The period of campaigning has been reduced. And if we move on, electoral reforms post 2000. Number 1, ceiling on election expenditure. At present, There is no limit on the amount a political party can spend in an election or on a candidate. But the commission has put a cap of individual candidates spending. For the Lok Sabha elections, it is 50 to 70 lakhs depend on the state they are contesting the Lok Sabha seat from, and 20 to 28 lakhs for an assembly election. Restriction on exit polls is second reform post 2000 elections. That is, the election commission issued a statement before the 2019 Lok Sabha elections saying that exit poll results could be broadcast only after the final phase of the election were over. This was done to avoid prospective voters being misguided or prejudiced in any manner. And another reform is voting through postal ballot. In 2013, the Election Commission decided to expand the ambit of postal ballot voting in the country. Previously, only Indian staff in missions abroad and defense personnel in a limited way could vote via postal ballots. Now there are six categories of voters who can use the postal ballot, that is service voters and special voters, wives of service voters and special voters, and voters subjected to preventing detention, and voters on election duty and notified voters. And for awareness creation, the government decided to observe January 25th as National Voters Day to mark the Election Commission's founding day. And another reform is political parties need to report any contribution in excess of rupees 20,000 to the election commission for claiming income tax benefit. Declaring of criminal antecedents, assets, etc. also one reform by the candidates is required, and declaring false information in the affidavit is now an electoral offence punishable with imprisonment up to 6 months or fine or both. The issue of electoral reforms is very important and often hot topic in India. That's why we discussed that electoral reforms pre 2000 and post 2000. Now we will move and focus on another major important and crucial topic in this lesson is challenges and issues. Challenges in Indian election. In India, there are a couple of problems that stand in the way of free and fair elections. Some of these are the rigging of poll booths. Some big political parties have an obvious advantage where they can use an excess of money power to buy voters with bribery. Even while campaigning, smaller parties have a disadvantage since they don't have as much money or power as the bigger parties. And populism is also a major problem in India, and parties in India follow caste politics where parties give the ticket to a person who is from a scheduled caste so that in his her constituency he is sure to win. This entrenchment power is only one caste and at the same time violates the sacred purpose of reservations. And there are multiple issues plaguing the electoral process in India. Some of the most prominent ones are money power. In every constituency, candidates have to spend crores of rupees for campaigning, publicity, etc. Most candidates far exceed the permissible limit to expenses. And muzzle power, in certain parts of the country there are widespread reports of illegal and untoward incidents during polling, such as the use of violence, intimidation, booth capturing, etc. And criminalization of politics and politicization of criminals. Criminalization of politics and politicization of criminals. Criminals enter into politics and ensure that money and muscle power wins them elections so that the cases against them are not proceeded with. Political parties are also happy as long as they have winnable candidates. Political parties field criminals in elections for funds and in return provide them with political patronage and protection. And next issue is misuse of government machinery. There is a general opinion that a party in power uses government machinery, such as using government vehicles for canvassing, advertisements, and the cost of the exchequer disbursement of out of the discretionary funds at the disposal of the ministers and other such means to improve the chances of their candidate winning. Non-serious independent candidates, serious candidates floats non-serious independent candidates in elections to cut a good portion of the votes that would otherwise have gone to rival candidates. And very important, that is casteism also. There are cases of certain caste groups lending strong support to particular political parties. Thus political parties make offers to win over different caste groups, and caste groups also try to pressurize parties to offer tickets for their member selections. Voting on caste lines is prevalent in the country, and this is a serious blotch on democracy and equality. This is also creates rifts in the country also. And next most important challenge is communalism. Communal polarization poses a serious threat to the Indian political ethos of pluralism, parliamentarianism, secularism, and federalism. And another most important challenge is lack of moral values in politics. The political corruption in India has led to politics becoming a business. People enter the political arena for making money and retaining their money and power. There are few leaders who enter politics to make a difference in the lives of their people. The Gandhian values of service and sacrifice are missing from the Indian political sense. Till now, we discussed what Election Commission of India and the introduction part and historical background of India, and we discussed about need and importance of election and meaning of election and constituency and who can vote, and we discussed about composition and appointment also, and we discussed term and conditions of service and removal and powers and functions of ECI, and we discussed election procedure and allotment of symbols, and we discussed election machinery in states and focus on types of elections also, system of election also, and we discussed the process of elections in India, and also registration of political parties, political campaigning, voting day preparations when elections take place, and scheduling of elections, and deployment of polling personnel and who can contest, and nomination and campaign, and model code of conduct, and limit on poll expenses and ballot papers and symbols also we discussed. And we discussed women participation and facilities, and national voters day, and EVM, VVPAT, and nota, and IT initiatives for better elections also we discussed. That is all these apps we already discussed. And we discussed about international cooperation and complaint redressal mechanism we discussed, and electoral reforms specially focused we discussed. And we also just now discussed about the challenges and issues. And now I'm going to conclude my session with a small phrase, that is, conduct of elections in a vast country like India involves elaborate security management. It includes ensuring the security of polling personnel, security at the polling station, security of polling materials, and also the overall security of the election process. Central armed para forces are deployed for area domination prior to poll in order to build confidence in the minds of voters, especially vulnerable voters, that is, weaker section, minorities, etc. The challenge is more so in the left wing extreme LWE affected areas. The abuse of money power in elections entrains certain risks like uneven playing field, lack of fair competition, political exclusion of certain sectors, co-opted politicians under campaign debts, and trained governance with rule of law undermined, and curbing the use of money power during election process is another major challenge in view of its inherent complexities involved. By amendment made to the Representation of the People Act 1951, conducting and publishing results of exit polls have been prohibited from the time of commencement of poll till half an hour after conclusion of the poll in all constituencies. The Commission has been suggesting to the government that there should be a similar prohibition or restriction on opinion polls also, as there could be several manipulated opinion polls which could be impact the voting pattern. The prevalence of web and social media has increased over the years, and there have been demands from the political social groups to regulate the social media during electronics as other media is regulated. With the emergence of use of social media for election campaigning and also certain violations of the electoral law in the social media, regulation of social media has become important in the interest of transparency and level playing field in the elections. So, as you all think before you vote. Thank you one and all. Hope you all are enjoyed my session. We will meet our next session with new and very interesting topic. Kindly follow my session. Thank you once again. Thank you.